What happens when the boss who spent 2 years crushing you suddenly has to watch you walk past him, not as his assistant, but as his CEO? Victor Kane stands at his own promotion party in his expensive Agbada, ready to claim his throne as Chief Operating Officer. But the assistant he's humiliated for 2 years walks onto that stage, not to serve him, but as the company's new Chief Executive Officer.
Fair African Tales. Subscribe and turn on the bell for new stories.
6:45 a.m. The sun hasn't fully conquered the Lagos humidity yet, and most of the city is still trapped in go-slow traffic on the third mainland bridge. But she's already here. Lena Chen, yes, Chen, daughter of a Taiwanese father and Nigerian mother, raised in Surulere, speaking Yoruba as fluently as Mandarin, moves through the dim office like a ghost who built the house. Early 30s, she carries herself with the kind of quiet precision that people mistake for weakness. She's arranging files on a mahogany desk that isn't hers, color-coding folders, prepping presentation slides, brewing Italian coffee for a man who wouldn't know hard work if it slapped him with a Lagos traffic warden's invoice book. Her hands move with practiced efficiency, but her eyes, those eyes contain something most people never bother to notice. Intelligence, strategy, the patience of someone playing a long game while everyone else scrambles for quick wins. Everything about this morning ritual screams submission, except it's not. It's documentation. Every file she touches, she remembers. Every presentation she creates, she timestamps. Every brilliant idea she whispers into existence, she records in a leather journal she keeps locked in her apartment in Lekki Phase 1. But nobody knows this yet, especially not him. Victor, oh Victor. 6:55 a.m. and he explodes into the office like a Nollywood villain who studied at Harvard Business School, which actually he did. Late 40s, expensive Agbada, tailored to perfection over a Tom Ford suit, wrist glittering with a Patek Philippe that cost more than most Lagosians earn in 5 years. He's that particular breed of Nigerian corporate elite, international Polish wrapped around local entitlement, speaking with an accent that shapeshifts depending on whether he's addressing expatriates or local staff. To Oyibo clients, he's studied abroad, don't you know? To subordinates, he's pure Lagos aggressive. And to Lena, he's a daily masterclass in psychological warfare. Lena! His voice cuts through the morning peace like a machete through bush. Why is my 7 a.m. presentation not already loaded on my tablet? Are you here to work or to breathe my air conditioning? She doesn't flinch. That's the thing about Lena. She's mastered the art of becoming furniture, present but unnoticed, essential but invisible. It's been ready since yesterday evening, sir. I emailed it and saved it to your cloud drive. Would you like me to walk you through the updates? Walk me through? Victor laughs, that particular Nigerian laugh that's designed to shrink people. Lena, I created that entire market strategy. I simply need you to format it properly. Don't confuse arranging my genius with contributing to it. But here's what Victor doesn't know, what he's never bothered to discover. That market strategy. Lena conceived it 3 months ago. She researched every data point, interviewed key industry players during her lunch breaks, analysed competitor movements, and drafted a 40-page proposal that she placed on Victor's desk with a note, "For your consideration." The next day, she watched him present it to the board, word for word, replacing her name with his own, her insights with his vision. And when the board applauded, when the CEO himself, Adebayo Okonkwo, that formidable Igbo businessman who built Quantum from a cyber cafe in Aba, praised Victor's innovative thinking. Lena sat in the back of that boardroom, taking notes, saying absolutely nothing. 7:15 a.m. The office begins filling with Lagos's corporate warriors. Designer shoes clicking on Italian marble, perfumes mixing with the recycled air conditioning breeze. Conversations flowing in that unique Lagos cocktail of English, Pidgin, Yoruba, and Igbo. Victor's holding court by the coffee station, surrounded by mid-level managers who laugh at his jokes like their mortgages depend on it, which, truthfully, they do. You see that Donovan contract we just closed? Victor's voice carries, deliberately loud. That's what separates lions from lizards in this business. You need vision. You need connections. You need to understand that excellence isn't democratic. Some of us are simply built different. What he doesn't mention: Lena spent 6 months cultivating a relationship with Patricia Donovan, the South African investor who everyone said was impossible to reach. 6 months of carefully researched emails, of understanding Patricia's interest in women's tech education, of connecting Quantum's capabilities to Patricia's values. When Patricia finally agreed to a meeting, Victor swooped in for the final presentation, using Lena's research, her relationship building, her strategic framework, and claimed the victory as his own. The commission, 7 million naira, Lena's share. A well-done mumbled without eye contact. But watch closely. See that woman by the elevators? Expensive but understated Aso-oki, silver-grey jewel wrapped with the kind of precision that speaks of old money, eyes that miss absolutely nothing. That's Margaret Thorne. Yes, Thorne, married to a British diplomat but born Margaret Nwosu from Anambra State, Oxford educated, and the kind of businesswoman who taught Nigerian corporate culture how to breathe. She's the board chairman, the kingmaker, the woman who can build empires or demolish them with a single board resolution. Margaret's expression doesn't change, but something flickers in those calculating eyes. Recognition, interest, the look a master chess player gives when they spot a piece everyone else overlooked. 9:30 a.m. The executive board meeting. Victor's presenting that market strategy, his third slide already displayed on the projection screen. Lena's standing in the corner because assistants don't sit in these meetings, they hover, ready to fetch water or fix technical glitches or absorb blame when something goes wrong. Victor's in full performance mode, gesticulating like a prophet revealing divine secrets. What we're looking at here is complete market disruption. My analysis shows that if we pivot our B2B strategy toward Victor, Margaret's voice cuts through his rhythm like a knife through butter. This consumer behavior data, where did it originate? Victor doesn't miss a beat. My team compiled it, extensive research, field studies, analytical modelling. I supervised every aspect personally. Margaret's lips curve into something that might be a smile if smiles could ask questions. Fascinating. And the predictive algorithm referenced on slide 12? Developed it myself. Well, conceptually. Obviously, I had the tech team execute the coding. Lena's standing in her corner, face neutral, but her fingers tighten slightly around the folder she's holding, because she developed that algorithm. She taught herself Python coding through YouTube tutorials and Coursera certificates she paid for with her own salary. She spent 3 months perfecting that predictive model, running simulations until 2 a.m., surviving on Indomie and determination. Margaret's eyes find Lena. Hold for exactly 3 seconds, then return to Victor. Brilliant work, she says, in a tone that could mean anything or nothing. The meeting continues. Victor receives applause. Lena receives nothing. As they file out, Margaret pauses beside Lena, adjusting her jeel as if it's casual conversation. "How long have you worked here, my dear?" "2 years, Ma." "And before that?" "MBA from Lagos Business School, graduated top of my class." Margaret's eyebrows rise fractionally. "Top of your class, and now you're—" "Learning from the best, Ma," Lena responds, voice steady, eyes forward. Margaret studies her for a long moment. Then, "Indeed, learning." She walks away, leaving behind the faint scent of expensive perfume and unspoken questions. 12:30 p.m. The text message arrives on Victor's phone, and his reaction electrifies the entire floor. He jumps from his desk chair like he's just been appointed governor of Lagos State. "Yes, yes, this is what I'm talking about." He's practically dancing, his carefully maintained corporate cool completely abandoned. "Chief Operating Officer, they're making me co." The office erupts in congratulations, genuine from some, calculated from others. Victor's soaking it in like rain in Harmattan, already planning his ascension. He summons Lena with a snap of his fingers that makes her jaw tighten for just a microsecond before her mask slides back into place. "Lena, we're having a celebration. I'm talking about a proper party, eco-hotel, rooftop terrace, champagne that costs more than your monthly salary. I want every executive, every board member, every person who matters to witness this moment. And you." He pauses for effect, that cruel smile spreading across his face like oil on water. "I want you there too." The office goes quiet. People pretend to work while listening intently. "Sir." Lena's voice reveals nothing. "You've had a front row seat to my rise, haven't you? All those late nights, all those projects, watching excellence in action. Consider this your graduation ceremony. Come see what happens when talent meets opportunity. Maybe," his smile sharpens, "maybe you'll learn something about what separates assistants from leaders. Bring a notebook if you want. Take detailed notes on how success looks, feels, tastes." He's enjoying this. You can see it in the way he's positioned himself, making sure colleagues witness this moment. This isn't an invitation, it's a public humiliation served in advance. A power play designed to remind Lena exactly where she stands in his world. At the bottom, looking up, and he wants witnesses to her subordination. What Victor expects, refusal, which he'll mock, or fearful acceptance, which feeds his ego. What Lena does. She meets his eyes directly, and for just a moment, maybe only Margaret Thorne, still watching from across the floor, notices this. Something dangerous flashes behind that careful, submissive exterior. "I'll be there, sir," Lena says quietly. "Thank you for the invitation." Victor's smile widens. He's already imagining the moment, already writing his triumph speech in his head. "Excellent. Wear something nice. You'll be surrounded by real executives. Try to blend in." He laughs at his own joke, and his sycophants join in. Lena nods, turns, walks back to her desk with measured steps. But if anyone bothered to look, really look, they might notice something. Her spine is straighter, her breathing is deeper, and when she sits at her desk and unlocks her phone, she sends a single text message to an unsaved number. "It's happening! The party is Friday. Are we ready?" The response comes in seconds. "We've been ready for 6 months. Your moment is coming, Lena. The question is, are you ready to stop being invisible?" Lena stares at that message for a long moment. Around her, the office buzzes with Victor's celebration. People are already gossiping, already recalibrating their allegiances to the rising COO. Victor's voice booms across the floor, discussing party details, guest lists, his vision for his new executive role. And Lena? She opens her locked desk drawer, the one Victor has never once asked about because assistants are furniture, and furniture doesn't keep secrets, and pulls out that leather journal. Page after page of documented meetings, time-stamped emails, recorded conversations, strategic proposals in her handwriting with dates predating Victor's innovations by weeks, sometimes months. Evidence, not for revenge, for accuracy, for justice, for the moment when silence would finally, devastatingly speak. She closes the journal, returns it to the drawer, locks it. When she looks up, Margaret Thorne is standing across the office, partially obscured by the crowd congratulating Victor. Their eyes meet through the chaos. Margaret gives the smallest nod, so subtle anyone else would miss it. Lena returns it. An alliance formed in silence, a revolution planned in plain sight while the tyrant celebrates his imaginary throne. Have you ever watched someone dig their own grave with their tongue, word by cruel word, completely unaware that the ground beneath them has already been measured for their fall? The celebration invitation sits on Lena's desk like a ticking bomb wrapped in expensive cardstock. Victor, soon to be Chief Operating Officer, or so he believes, has just handed her a weapon disguised as humiliation. But here's what makes the next 72 hours absolutely electrifying. Victor thinks he's orchestrating Lena's final degradation. What he doesn't realize is that he's actually providing the stage for his own spectacular unraveling. Monday morning, 8 a.m. Victor's assembled the entire department in the conference room, standing at the head of the table like a general addressing conquered territories. Lena's stationed by the door, because assistants don't sit, they hover, they disappear into furniture. But watch her eyes. They're recording everything with the precision of a surveillance camera that's been patient enough to capture 2 years of evidence. People, listen up, Victor's voice booms, with that particular Nigerian confidence that comes from never being truly challenged. This Friday, we're making history. Echo Hotel, rooftop terrace, 7 p.m. sharp. And Lena, he turns to her with theatrical timing. You're going to coordinate the entire event. The room goes silent. Everyone knows what this is. It's not delegation, it's domination. Forcing Lena to orchestrate her own public humiliation, to arrange the lighting and flowers and champagne for a party explicitly designed to remind her that she's nothing. Sir, Lena's voice is steady, revealing absolutely nothing. Coordinating an executive event of this magnitude typically requires 3 days. Lena, I've seen you pull off impossible tasks in half the time. Consider this your final exam as my assistant. After Friday, I'll be bringing in someone more aligned with my new position. Think of it as your going away present to me. Make it unforgettable. What Victor doesn't see is the way Lena's fingers curl slightly around her notebook. The way her breathing becomes more controlled, more deliberate. The way she's not surrendering but strategizing. Understood, sir. I'll make it unforgettable. That's my girl. Now let's discuss my transition strategy. And there it is again. The pattern that's defined 2 years of Lena's professional life. Because the transition strategy Victor's about to present, Lena drafted it last week. 36 hours analysing operational inefficiencies, researching best practices, modelling financial projections. She placed it on his desk Thursday evening with a simple note, for consideration. Friday morning, it became Victor's vision. But something's different this time. As Victor presents his strategy, there's movement in the doorway. Margaret Thorne, the board chairman, that silver-haired Igbo powerhouse who survived 3 decades in Nigerian corporate warfare, is standing there, listening, observing. She catches Lena's eye, holds it for 3 deliberate seconds, then walks away without a word, leaving behind a question that hangs in the air. What does the kingmaker see that the king cannot? Monday afternoon. Victor's cruelty escalates into performance art. He's interviewing potential replacements for Lena's position, deliberately loud, ensuring she can hear every word from her desk 15 feet away. So, Chamaka, what makes you think you can handle being my executive assistant? The position requires someone who understands that my success is their priority, who won't get overwhelmed when I demand excellence. Lena's phone vibrates, a text from that unsaved number. Meeting tonight, 8 p.m. My office, come prepared. She deletes the message immediately, habits of someone who's been planning in the shadows. Tuesday morning, the psychological warfare intensifies. During the weekly department meeting, Victor's reviewing the quarterly performance report, a 100-page document Lena compiled. He's presenting it as his own work, naturally. Now, if you look at page 47, wait, Lena, why are these figures formatted differently than the rest of the report? Everyone turns to look at her. Sir, those figures use a different visualization method because the data set required. Did I ask for an explanation or an excuse? I asked why you couldn't maintain consistency across a simple report. This is basic competency, Lena. If you can't handle fundamental tasks, how do you expect to survive in this industry? The room suffocates with second-hand embarrassment. Nobody speaks, nobody defends her. But Lena doesn't apologize. She doesn't shrink. She simply says, "Noted, sir. I'll adjust the formatting," with a voice so controlled it could cut diamonds. After the meeting, Margaret approaches Lena in the hallway. That visualization method you used, was that the Bradford Williams model? Lena blinks, surprised. Yes, Ma. It's more effective for temporal data with multiple variables. I know what it's for. I wrote my dissertation on advanced data visualization at Oxford. Margaret's smile is knowing. Tell me something. How long have you been doing Victor's thinking for him? The question hangs between them like a lit match near gasoline. Ma, I'm just... Don't insult my intelligence with false modesty, Lena. Tonight, 8 p.m., my office. We need to discuss your future, not as Victor's assistant, as Quantum's next leader. Tuesday evening, 8 p.m. Margaret Thorne's office overlooks Victoria Island's glittering chaos. Lena sits across from her, and for the first time in 2 years, someone's asking her to speak, not to fetch. The board has been conducting a quiet audit, Margaret begins. 6 weeks ago, we started noticing irregularities. Proposals attributed to Victor that contained research methodologies he couldn't explain. Client relationships supposedly built by him that originated from someone else's outreach. Strategic frameworks bearing his name but containing analytical depth beyond his demonstrated capabilities. Lena's heart pounds, but her face remains composed. I'm going to ask you a direct question, Margaret continues. How much of Victor's success have you built? The silence stretches. Outside, Lagos continues its eternal hustle. Inside this office, everything stops. All of it, Lena says quietly. Every strategy, every client relationship, every innovation he's claimed. I built all of it, Ma. Margaret doesn't look surprised. She looks vindicated. Why didn't you ever report this? Because who would believe the assistant over the executive? Because I was waiting for someone to notice, to see, to care enough to look past the performance. I noticed. Margaret opens a folder revealing printouts, emails, timestamps, forensic documentation. We've spent 6 weeks building a case, Lena. Every piece of evidence points to the same conclusion. You've been leading from the shadows for 2 years, while a fraud took the credit. Ma, Victor's promotion hasn't been finalised. The board has final authority, and we've been stalling, investigating, confirming our suspicions. Friday night at Victor's celebration, we're going to make an announcement, but it won't be the one he's expecting. Wednesday and Thursday blur into contrasts. On the surface, Lena's coordinating Victor's celebration with meticulous precision. Underneath, she's preparing for something else entirely. Wednesday afternoon, Victor discovers a new degradation tactic. He's on a client call when he summons Lena. Lena, I'm sending you to pick up my dry cleaning. My designer Agbada for Friday needs to be perfect. Also, stop by that boutique in Lekki and pick up the gift I ordered. And get me lunch from that new restaurant in Vai. Make sure it's still hot. It's 2:30 p.m. Lagos traffic is apocalyptic. These errands will take 4 hours minimum, and Victor knows this. Right away, sir, Lena says. As she walks toward the elevator, Victor calls out, and Lena, don't forget, this is excellent practice for whatever job you find after Friday. Consider it career development. Laughter follows her into the elevator. But as the doors close, Lena's expression transforms. She pulls out her phone. Margaret, he's sending me on errands. I'll use the time to finalize our documentation. Everything's perfect. Too perfect for him to suspect anything's wrong. Thursday morning, the final humiliation. Victor's assembled the department with a PowerPoint titled Leadership Excellence Lessons from My Journey. He's making Lena stand beside him like a prop, like a cautionary tale in human form. The difference between leaders and followers is vision. Some people are content to execute other people's ideas, to remain comfortable in subordinate positions. That's fine. The world needs worker bees. But leaders, we see possibilities others can't imagine. We claim success others don't have the courage to pursue. He's presenting her as a case study in mediocrity, in front of everyone. And the cruelty is breathtaking, but Lena's not breaking. Because she knows something Victor doesn't. In exactly 28 hours, this man will experience the most public, devastating reversal of fortune in quantum industry's history. Thursday night, Lena's apartment. She's standing before her mirror, and for the first time in 2 years, she's not practicing submission. She's rehearsing authority. Her phone rings, Margaret. Everything's confirmed. The announcement documents are prepared. Security's briefed. CEO Okonkwo will be there. Are you ready? I've been ready for 2 years. I just didn't know anyone was watching. We were, and tomorrow everyone else will too. Lena pulls out that leather journal one final time. 2 years of patience compressed into leather and ink. She closes it carefully. Tomorrow, silence will finally speak. But here's the question that should keep you on edge. When a man who's spent 2 years building his empire on stolen brilliance finally comes face to face with the woman he's been underestimating, when his moment of triumph becomes the stage for his spectacular fall, will he recognize the truth? Or will his narcissism be so complete that even in defeat, he'll fail to understand that the person he crushed was actually the architect of everything he claimed to be? What does justice look like when it arrives not with thunder, but with the quiet, devastating precision of a woman who's been underestimated for exactly 730 days? Friday evening. The Eco Hotel rooftop terrace transforms into something out of a Lagos billionaire's fever dream. Champagne towers catching the amber sunset, live band playing Afrobeat fusion. Executives in their finest ASOK and Italian suits gathering like peacocks at a watering hole. Victor stands at the center of it all, chest puffed with anticipation, rehearsing his speech under his breath. He's wearing that designer Agbada Lena picked up for him, gold thread catching the light, looking every bit the conquering hero about to claim his throne. What he doesn't know, what his narcissism has made him constitutionally incapable of seeing, is that every person in this room has received a confidential memo from the board. Every executive, every department head, everyone except Victor himself. And that memo contains 3 words that will reshape this entire evening. Observe, don't intervene. 7:15 p.m. Lena arrives and the shift in atmospheric pressure is immediate. She's not wearing anything flashy. Elegance doesn't scream, it whispers. A tailored navy dress, her natural hair styled with quiet confidence, moving through the crowd with a presence that makes people pause mid-conversation. Victor spots her from across the terrace, and his smile widens into something predatory. He excuses himself from the cluster of sycophants and approaches her like a hunter who's cornered wounded prey. "Lena, you actually came. I wasn't sure you'd have the courage." His voice carries deliberately, drawing attention. "Did you bring that notebook I suggested? You'll want to document this moment, study it for future reference." But something's different. Lena meets his eyes directly, no submission, no flinching, and her smile contains something Victor's never seen before. Knowledge, power, patience finally rewarded. "I'm exactly where I need to be, Victor," she says quietly. "The question is, are you?" Before he can process that response, before he can dissect what's changed in her tone, her posture, her entire energy, the sound system crackles to life. Margaret Thorne is moving toward the stage, and beside her, Victor's smile falters slightly, is CEO Adebayo Okonkwo himself, that legendary Igbo entrepreneur who built Quantum from nothing. The entire board of directors is assembling on the platform. This isn't standard protocol for a COO announcement. This is something else. But Victor's ego won't let him consider alternatives. He straightens his agbada, assumes this is extra pageantry for his coronation, and prepares to receive his crown. Margaret takes the microphone. The terrace falls silent, except for Lagos traffic humming 50 floors below. "Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for what we promised would be a celebration of leadership transition at Quantum Industries." Her voice is measured, professional, revealing nothing yet. Over the past several weeks, our board has been conducting a comprehensive review of our organizational structure, our values, and most importantly, our leadership integrity. Victor's nodding along, thinking this is preamble to his praise. But watch the executives in the crowd. They're not looking at Victor, they're looking at Lena. And their expressions contain anticipation, vindication, something almost like relief. "We discovered something troubling during our audit," Margaret continues, her tone sharpening like a blade being unsheathed. "We found systematic patterns of credit misappropriation, intellectual property theft disguised as collaboration, and a leadership culture built on exploitation rather than inspiration." Now Victor's smile cracks. Just slightly. His eyes dart around, seeking allies, seeking explanation, seeking anything that confirms this isn't about him. But Margaret's gaze lands on him like a spotlight designed to expose shadows. "Mr. Victor, Your promotion to Chief Operating Officer has been rescinded, effective immediately. The words detonate across the terrace like thunder in Harmattan season. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Victor's face drains of colour, his mouth opening and closing like a fish, suddenly realising it's been caught. What? There must be some mistake. I've delivered every success this company. You've delivered nothing. Margaret's voice cuts through his protest with surgical precision. Our forensic audit traced every major strategic initiative attributed to you over the past 2 years. Every single one originated from someone else. Someone you've spent 730 days exploiting, humiliating, and systematically erasing from the narrative of her own brilliance. Margaret turns, extending her hand toward the crowd, toward Lena. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honoured to introduce Quantum Industries' new Chief Executive Officer, not Chief Operating Officer, but CEO, Ms. Lena Chen. The silence that follows is so complete you could hear ancestors whispering. Then, slowly, deliberately, applause begins. Not the polite golf clap of corporate obligation, but genuine, thunderous recognition. Executives who ignored Lena for 2 years are clapping. Colleagues who witnessed her humiliation and said nothing are clapping. The entire terrace erupts in acknowledgement of what they always knew but never defended, that the quiet woman arranging flowers was actually the architect of everything they celebrated. Lena walks toward the stage, and with each step she's shedding the invisible skin she wore for survival. Victor's standing frozen, his designer Agbada suddenly looking like a costume for a play that's been cancelled mid-performance. As Lena passes him, she pauses. Not with anger, not with triumph. With something more devastating, dignity. Every success you claimed, Victor, I built. Every client you secured, I cultivated for months. Every strategy you presented, I drafted while you took credit and reminded me I was replaceable. You were right about one thing. I was learning. I learned that silence can be strategic, that patience can be powerful, that the person you're crushing beneath your ego might be the very foundation your entire empire is built on. She continues to the stage, takes the microphone from Margaret, faces the assembled crowd with the confidence of someone who's earned every syllable she's about to speak. I didn't accept this position for revenge or vindication. Lena's voice fills the space, commanding attention without demanding it. I accepted it because leadership isn't about ego, it's about responsibility. It's not about taking credit, it's about giving it. True power doesn't require you to diminish others. Insecurity does. She looks around the terrace, making eye contact with people who once looked through her. We're going to rebuild this company's culture. Merit will matter more than performance. Collaboration will matter more than competition. And everyone, from executive to assistant, will be valued for their actual contributions, not their ability to claim someone else's work as their own. Behind her, security is quietly approaching Victor. Margaret nods to them. The message is clear. His presence is no longer required. Victor looks around desperately for allies, for sympathizers, for anyone who'll challenge this reversal. But the people who laughed at his cruel jokes are suddenly fascinated by their champagne glasses. The colleagues who enabled his toxicity are checking their phones. He's utterly, devastatingly alone. As security escorts him toward the exit, Victor tries one final protest. This is a mistake. Everything I built was borrowed brilliance, Lena says simply, and the bill just came due. The terrace door closes behind him. The party continues, but it's transformed. Conversations shift from gossip to genuine engagement. People approach Lena, some apologizing, others congratulating, all finally seeing her clearly. A young junior analyst named Tunde approaches nervously. Ms. Chen, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for not speaking up, for watching him treat you that way and doing nothing. Lena looks at him with something like compassion. You can't change the past, Tunde, but you can decide what kind of colleague, what kind of human you'll be moving forward. That choice belongs to you every single day. As the evening winds down, as Lagos lights glitter below like earthbound stars, Margaret joins Lena by the terrace railing. How does it feel? The board chairman asks. Like breathing after holding your breath for 2 years, Lena admits. Like finally being visible after convincing yourself invisibility was survival. And Victor, do you think he understands what happened? Lena considers this. Narcissists rarely do. He'll rewrite this story in his head, make himself the victim, convince himself he was sabotaged rather than exposed. But that's not my concern anymore. My concern is building something better. Something where the next young woman with brilliant ideas doesn't have to document her own genius for 2 years just to prove she deserves to exist in the room. Lena is no longer silent now, finally claiming the space she always deserved but had to fight to occupy. Because sometimes justice doesn't arrive with thunder. Sometimes it arrives with the quiet, devastating precision of a woman who turned patience into power and humiliation into evidence. Now I need you to do something important. Drop a comment below and tell me, have you ever had to stay quiet while someone else took credit for your work? How did you handle it? And more importantly, what would you have done in Lena's position? Would you have had the patience to document and wait? Or would you have confronted Victor earlier? Your story matters. Share it below. And if this tale of strategic patience and ultimate justice resonated with you, hit that subscribe button because every week I bring you stories where wisdom defeats arrogance, where the underestimated become unstoppable. Share this with someone who needs to hear that their silence can become their strategy, that their patience can become their power. I'll see you in the next story.